Damon Evans, the Director of Athletics at SMU. There he is. He was at Maryland, and now he's on our show at 365 Sports with Craig and Paul. David Smoke. David, thank you very much for being a part of the show. You move in, and could you have picked a better time with the momentum at SMU? And not that you don't have your ideas and challenges in front of you, but what's it like from afar, and now you're a part of this?
Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me. It's great to be here with you. I know you're a legend, and I always enjoy meeting living legends. You don't see too many of them across the country, but I'm excited to be here. You're right. It's a great time to be at SMU, to be here on the hilltop. There's a lot of momentum taking place here with President-elect Jay Hartzell, current President Gerald Turner. But then when you start thinking about the supporters and all the individuals here who are so committed to this institution, we're on the rise, and I want people to know that we're going to get out after it and do all we can to make our alums, our fans, and our donors proud.
One of the things that you're often tasked with when you're a new athletic director is hiring new football coaches at major sport or football and basketball coaches. You do not have to do that. How much more attractive does that make a job? I know that sometimes you get one like, well, I'd really like to hire my guys, but you're stepping into a situation where basketball has Andy Enfield now, football has Rhett Lashley. You don't have to worry about that. You just have to provide the support and leadership that the program needs.
Well, it's nice. I'm not going to lie, you guys. It's nice to come in and have such a all-star group of coaches. The caliber of coaches here are just exceptional. When you talk about Rhett Lashley and what he's done, I mean, Rhett is a tremendous football mind, but a better person and someone who's driven by culture. And culture leads to your outcomes. And that's why he's had such great success here last year, obviously. Going undefeated in the ACC and getting into the college football playoff speaks volumes to what his ability is. Then you look at someone like Andy Enfield coming from USC and what he's been able to accomplish. And let's not forget about Dunk City way back in the day at Florida Gulf Coast. Mm-hmm. So he's someone, again, we're solidified at two very important positions here in our department. And then I can just go across the board when I take a look at someone like Sam in volleyball. I'm really happy to have Adia Barnes join us. And so when you look at this team of talented coaches, we're in a very good position.
What did you know when people would have brought up SMU to you prior to all of this? What kind of came to mind? I mean, obviously SMU had their period there, the 80s, 90s, and all the way up to just recently, where the death penalty, and that's kind of what I think most people probably thought of SMU. But in terms of the school, the location, and all those different types of things, what were you aware of, and what have you learned already in being on the job about that institution?
Well, unfortunately, everyone or a lot of people in this industry have heard what happened back in the day with the death penalty. I take that this way. This institution has shown a lot of resiliency. And that was one of the attractions to me here, along with so many other things. The commitment, the fight to say, let's stand back up, let's be proud, and let's move forward. And that's what this institution has done. What have I heard about it? You know, everybody's heard about Eric Dickerson and Craig James and, you know, the Mustangs and what they've accomplished and all the things that come with it. But also, people have heard a lot about this unbelievable amount of momentum that's underway. And when I say momentum, you guys, this is a hot place right now, and it's going to continue being a hot place. And it's hot because people aren't afraid here to go after, to what I say, think big and be bold. A lot of times people outside the organization might look at things and say, you can't accomplish that. That's not the thought process here. And I like that. So when I see stuff like that, I think big. I want to be bold, and I want to be aligned with all the individuals that support this institution. Great football program, great basketball program. Volleyball was exceptional last year, knocking off Pittsburgh, beating Nebraska. So when you look at stuff like that, things are going quite well here at SMU.
You were a player, so you know the competitive fire, and then of course you were at your alma mater as an AD as well. What would you say, if you look back at the young Damon Evans, would be one of your first ever bold moves that you made? Was it as an athlete, or was it perhaps getting into administration?
I'd say one of my first bold moves, and it wasn't due in large part to me, it was my parents. Moving from Omaha, Nebraska to Gainesville, Georgia at the beginning of my 10th grade year. I think that helped to set my foundation to understand what it means to adjust and adapt to change. When you grow up wanting to play football for Nebraska, and at that day and age, the Cornhuskers were rolling. But what that led to, bold moves for me, was making a decision to get into this world of intercollegiate athletics because I wanted to support young people. Being a finance major, I wanted to go work on Wall Street. But something clicked in me to say, hey, let's change. Let's give back to the industry that gave so much to you. And that's when I decided to get a graduate degree in sport management. And boom, here I am sitting with you gentlemen today. So making the right moves, but not being afraid to adjust and adapt and to change has really helped me throughout my career.
Damon, you just come from the Big Ten and now into the ACC. With all the things that conferences are doing, how much do you like when you get in the room, like having been in the other things, like do you say, hey, this is a really good thing that they're doing? Do you like say, okay, this is what you now have an opportunity with the conference also to enact some change inside there because you are familiar with some more recent things that are going into the Big Ten than maybe others would be?
It's great having been in the other two conferences because I have an understanding of how they kind of operate, what their mindset is, and whether people believe it or not, the way that the SEC thinks is very different than the way that the Big Ten thinks, is different than the way that the ACC and the Big 12. There are a lot of similarities, but there are a lot of differences. And I'm able to bring all those experiences here to the ACC, and not from a perspective of this is how it should be done, but to share this is what's going on over there, but how do we take something and make it work best for us? But also understanding where your competition is. Make no mistake about it. The SEC and the Big Ten, they're competitors. I want to make sure that I can offer things up in the room with my colleagues that can continue to help us move up that ladder and position this conference, not only SMU, but this conference for success. And that's what I intend to do.
Everything's about the spine, right? The president or the board of regents, trustees, the president, the AD, football coach, and others. Jay Hartzell will be coming to take over as president. How much did you talk with him before you accepted this job?
I quite a bit, and I'm excited about President-elect Hartzell. Really hit it off with him. Really, just our alignment is unbelievable. And I'll sit here and say this, you guys. He was the president at the University of Texas. That's no small feat. That shows you his acumen and how well respected he is in this industry of higher education. And for SMU to say, let's shoot for the moon, let's shoot for the stars. That's what they did. So he was very involved, and he's one of the main reasons that I came to this institution. I wanted to make sure that the individual that I would be working for and working with, that we could partner together. And that's the first word he utilized, was partnership. And to hear that come out in his vision for this institution as a whole and the role that athletics plays at the institution was something that was just so good to hear, music to my ears.
Yeah, that's a great transition because that's got to be that spine, or that's got to be from top to bottom. So Paul brought this up. You were part of Maryland and the Big Ten. When you were in meetings as a member of the Big Ten, what were the thoughts inside those meetings about the ACC or the Big 12 that sometimes felt like they were running on not as much adrenaline and revenue?
Well, you can't hide from the facts. The facts of the matter are right now that the SEC and the Big Ten, they do generate a large amount of revenue in comparison to those of us in the ACC and the Big 12. But, we're all colleagues. There's nothing disparaging that you talk about. You talk about what they're doing over there, very collegial. A lot of people think that the SEC and the Big Ten want to run off without the ACC and the Big 12, and that is not the case. We're all in this together. We're all looking for ways to make intercollegiate athletics better. Some of us have more of this. Some of us have more of that. Some of us have this advantage or that advantage. But at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing. We're trying to help young people grow and develop, provide them a great opportunity to get into education, and at the same time compete in whatever sport they're in. So it's very collegial and very competitive as well.
Obviously the big issue facing college athletics right now is employment, transfer portal, all these things. Do you believe collective bargaining is the solution moving forward, or is there something else that can be done? Or are you in the camp of Congress has to codify something? What are your thoughts on that?
Our world is rapidly changing, and it's changing so fast. I really can't tell you what we're going to look like next year or even 6 months from now. But my job is to try to figure that out, is to try to say, okay, what's coming down the road? What might we need to be taking a look at? Do I think that collectively bargaining is in our future? Possibly. I don't rule anything out based upon what we've seen transpire in this industry. A lot of people don't like the term employee for student athletes. We've moved from what some might call the collegiate model, the amateurism model, to now this model where we're sharing revenue and where we brought collectives in, where we've created free agency. We do need to get some control around that, obviously. We need, when you sign a contract with a young man or young woman, they need to be held to the contract just like the institution does. This can't be a one-way street. How do we get there? Maybe we need to collectively bargain to do so. Maybe we need some help from Congress to do so. But what we have to focus on are the things that we can control as athletic administrators. And we gotta tell a better story, because I think to a certain extent, our industry has lost the public's trust. We got to gain that trust back and make people understand what we're doing to enhance and enrich the lives of student athletes.
Damon, how much can your own life experiences of being an athlete, overcoming things, and as just a human being overcoming things, how much can you share with that to help younger kids who are going to make mistakes?
I do it all the time. I always talk about my journey with student athletes, not from a perspective that I had to walk up the hill and it was snowing outside and it was cold and all this stuff, but to say what this world did for me, what playing sports did for me, the doors that it opened for me. I always tell student athletes this: when you graduate from college, that degree is a key. It's a key to open the door to opportunity for you. It's a lot easier to get through that door when you have that key than when you don't. You got to try to pick the lock. You got to kick the door down. You got to bang on the door. So I share why I got into this business and why I want to help them in moving forward. Sometimes, kids listen and it resonates with them. Some of it times it doesn't. But what I found is if you show them that you care about them and that you want to help them reach their goals and whatever endeavors they choose, then I think they know that you truly care.
Who's the first person to be there for you other than maybe parents or family whenever you needed that little, you got to get up off the floor?
It's interesting. I have several people who did that for me. A gentleman at the University of Georgia who worked in the academic and student development unit by the name of Robert Miles was very influential in my life outside of my family. Then I would go back and I would say this as well. I've had people such as coaches, Vince Dooley, who passed away a couple years ago, was significant in my life. He recruited me, but then he gave me an opportunity to come work at the University of Georgia, then supported me to replace him as athletic director. He was always someone I could lean on when I was having difficulties, when I was having challenges. But I look at a lot of those individuals came from that world of intercollegiate athletics that became mentors, and someone who's still with me now, who's been with me everywhere I've gone, from Georgia to Maryland to now SMU, a gentleman by the name of Dave Muai, who advises me on everything that I do. I don't make a decision without him professionally, and a lot of times I talk to him about personal situations as well.
Last thing, you're at a school that's like shooting up the charts with all the things that have happened with the ACC in the playoff, and we mentioned the coaching staff and everything. Is SMU actually still have? Is there yet another like surge that SMU could experience with all the changes we see in college football, or is that going to be hard to do?
This is the beginning. There are many more surges to come from us, and I don't say that from a position of arrogance. That's not where that comes from. Mm-hmm. But we've got to keep this momentum going. We can't let this momentum stop. We can't rest on our laurels. We can't just be excited to be in the ACC. We can't just be excited to say, hey, we're here, we've arrived. We've got a lot of hard work to do, fellas. And, being in this position, I'm going to work my tail off to make sure I keep that momentum going, that I work with this staff, that I work with this community, that we leverage the Dallas market. And I'm going to sit here. If you think we have momentum now, I would tell people to watch out. And again, no arrogance. That's just the drive and the determination that I have to make sure that we do right by all the people who love this institution.
Two things. You were born and raised in Omaha. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I was born on Offutt Air Force Base.
Oh, I know Offutt Air Force Base.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a long, long time ago. and I'm not going to forgive you for not playing at Nebraska, because that's still, I mean, that's okay.
That was a hard one for me. I started getting recruited by Nebraska after my 9th grade year, and I said, yes, I'm going to go there. And my parents said, we're moving. I almost lost my mind, but it worked out for the best.
It worked out great with the great Vince Dooley. Hey, thanks a lot, Damon. Good luck. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, gentlemen. See you soon.
You. Damon Evans, AD at SMU, with this is just the beginning. Yeah, they got a lot of work to do, but, man, it's been a nice, almost a warp speed from where they were